On the endless, sun-drenched plains of East Africa, where the horizon shimmers with heat and the air is alive with the calls of distant birds, a timeless drama is about to unfold. Here, the land is both beautiful and unforgiving, a tapestry of golden grass, scattered acacia, and the ever-present pulse of life and danger. A seasoned lioness, her belly heavy with the promise of new life, moves with deliberate caution. Each step is a silent farewell to the familiar comfort and security of her pride. The decision weighs on her, instinct and experience, guiding her away from the only family she has ever known. Within the pride, social bonds are strong, but so too are the tensions. The powerful males and even her own sisters can become threats to her unborn cubs. Disputes, jealousy, and the harsh rules of survival mean that the smallest and most vulnerable are often at risk. Her instincts, shaped by generations of mothers before her, urge her onward. She slips away at dawn, the golden light painting her fur as she leaves behind the only world she has ever known. The lioness moves through a world alive with subtle sounds, the rustle of grass, the distant calls of hornbills, the hum of insects. She searches for a sanctuary, a place hidden from both friend and foe, where she can bring her cubs into the world in safety. Deep within a tangled thicket of reeds, beside a narrow, life-giving stream, she finds her refuge. The dense vegetation forms a natural fortress, its shadows cool and protective, muffling the sounds of the outside world. In this secluded haven, shielded from the relentless sun and the ever-watchful eyes of predators, she gives birth. 4 tiny cubs, fragile and blind, emerge into a world of warmth and darkness, their mother's heartbeat the only sound they know. The cubs are born utterly helpless, their eyes sealed shut, their bodies trembling with new life. They are guided only by touch and scent, seeking the comfort of their mother's warmth and the nourishment of her milk. Their world is small and safe, the gentle curve of their mother's body, the steady rhythm of her breath, and the rich milk that sustains them. For now, nothing exists beyond this intimate circle of life. For the first 8 weeks, this hidden den is their entire universe. The outside world is a distant memory for the lioness and an unknown realm for her cubs. The lioness becomes a solitary sentinel, her senses sharpened by the weight of responsibility. Every rustle in the grass, every distant call, is met with alertness. She is the cubs' only guardian, their shield against a wilderness that offers no mercy. Her work is relentless. She nurses her cubs, keeps them meticulously clean, and licks them to stimulate their tiny bodies. Every action is purposeful, removing any scent that might betray their presence to prowling predators. Danger is ever present. Hyenas, leopards, and even opportunistic jackals patrol the savannah, their senses attuned to the faintest sign of vulnerability. A single misplaced scent could spell disaster for the fragile family. To outwit these threats, the lioness employs a strategy born of necessity. Every few days she moves her cubs to a new den, carrying each one gently but firmly in her jaws, her movements swift and silent. Each relocation is a test of her strength and resolve. She ensures their scent never lingers long enough to attract unwanted attention, her vigilance never wavering. This period of seclusion is a crucible, testing every skill she possesses. Her mind is a constant balance of anxiety and determination, her body pushed to its limits by the demands of motherhood. Alone, she must hunt to sustain herself. Each hunt is a gamble. Her absence leaves the cubs vulnerable, but her success is their only hope for survival. The taste of fresh meat is transformed into nourishing milk, the lifeblood of her young. Every departure is fraught with risk. The cubs, left alone, are silent and still, their tiny bodies pressed together for comfort. The lioness glances back, her heart torn between the need to provide and the instinct to protect. Her return is a moment of relief and reunion. She nuzzles her cubs, reassures them with her presence, and settles beside them, her body a living barrier against the world outside. As the sun dips below the horizon and the bush comes alive with the sounds of night, the lioness remains ever vigilant. The future of her lineage rests entirely on her shoulders. In this fragile beginning, every heartbeat, every decision is a testament to her strength, resilience, and the fierce love that binds mother to cub in the wild heart of Africa. In the heart of the savannah, the lioness's secluded nursery is a fragile sanctuary tucked away beneath a canopy of tall grasses and dense reeds. Here her cubs are hidden from prowling predators and the harsh African sun. But today, a new and far more formidable threat looms overhead. The sky, once a vast expanse of brilliant blue, begins to shift. Heavy, brooding clouds roll in from the horizon, swallowing the sunlight and casting the land in an eerie, premature twilight. The air thickens, charged with the electric promise of a storm. As the storm builds, the wind stirs the grasses, sending ripples across the plains. The usual chorus of birds and insects falls silent, replaced by the distant rumble of thunder. Every creature senses the impending upheaval, and a tense stillness settles over the land. The lioness lifts her head, nostrils flaring as she catches the sharp metallic scent of rain on the wind. Instinctively she draws her cubs closer, her body tense and alert. The plains, usually alive with movement, now seem to hold their breath. Suddenly the sky splits open. Sheets of rain descend with a deafening roar, drenching the earth in moments. The dry, cracked ground is quickly overwhelmed, transforming into a churning sea of mud and water. Visibility drops as the storm lashes the savannah with relentless force. This is no ordinary rain. The storm is a violent tropical deluge, its winds howling through the grasslands and bending trees to their breaking point. Lightning forks across the sky, illuminating the chaos in stark, fleeting flashes. The lioness's den, once a carefully chosen refuge, is now under siege. Water pours in from all sides, seeping through the reeds and pooling around the cubs. The ground beneath them dissolves into a cold, sucking mire. The dense vegetation that once concealed the family now channels the rain directly into their shelter. Mud and debris swirl around the cubs, who huddle together, their tiny bodies trembling with cold and fear. The water rises rapidly, creeping higher with every passing minute. The cubs, still too young to walk steadily, are trapped, unable to escape the encroaching flood. Their cries are faint, nearly lost beneath the relentless drumming of rain on the earth. Vulnerable and exposed, the cubs' only hope lies with their mother. Their mewling calls are desperate, their fur plastered to their bodies by the cold rain. The lioness, returning from a brief patrol for food, is confronted by devastation. Her den is unrecognizable, waterlogged, chaotic, and filled with the sounds of her distressed young. She finds her cubs shivering uncontrollably, their bodies caked in mud and their eyes wide with terror. The cold is merciless, sapping their strength with every moment they remain exposed. Driven by an unyielding maternal instinct, the lioness plunges into the swirling water without hesitation. Her powerful frame cuts through the flood, muscles straining as she fights the current and the debris that threatens to sweep her cubs away. Rain pelts her face, but she is undeterred. Her focus is absolute, every sense attuned to the location and safety of her offspring. The storm's fury is immense, but her resolve is greater. She moves with urgency, scanning the den for each cub. Time is critical, the water is rising and the temperature is dropping. Every second counts. One by one, she locates her cubs, gently but firmly, grasping them in her jaws. Her grip is strong enough to lift them clear of the mud, yet delicate enough not to harm their fragile bodies. Each rescue is a delicate balance of strength and tenderness. The lioness's jaws, capable of crushing bone, now cradle her young with the utmost care, a living paradox of power and gentleness. She forges through the deepening water, her legs churning through mud and debris. The current tugs at her, but she keeps her head high, holding each cub above the rising flood. With each trip she carries her precious cargo to a small, elevated mound, a rare patch of dry ground that offers a temporary refuge from the storm's reach. The ordeal is exhausting. She must make several trips, braving the elements again and again, her body battered by wind and rain, her mind focused solely on the survival of her young. At last, all her cubs are safe on higher ground. The lioness curls her body protectively around them, her warmth a vital shield against the cold. She licks their fur, drying and comforting them, her presence a reassurance in the midst of chaos. As the storm finally begins to subside, the lioness surveys her battered family. Exhausted but undaunted, she has faced the full wrath of nature and emerged victorious, her determination and instinct ensuring the survival of her cubs. The savannah is quiet once more, the air fresh and cool in the aftermath. For now, the lioness and her cubs are safe, a testament to the resilience and fierce devotion of a mother in the wild. Yet, the memory of the storm lingers, a reminder that in this unforgiving land, danger can strike without warning. In the heart of the African savannah, a lioness faces the relentless demands of motherhood. With 4 rapidly growing cubs to nourish, her need for sustenance is urgent and unyielding. Each day the pressure mounts, her body must produce enough milk to sustain her young, a task that drains her reserves and leaves her perpetually hungry. The lioness rises before the first light, her silhouette blending seamlessly with the golden grass. She knows that every successful hunt is a lifeline for her family. The energy she expends in pursuit of prey must be repaid many times over in the form of a hard-won meal. Before she departs, she glances back at her hidden cubs, their tiny bodies curled together in the safety of the den. Leaving them alone is a calculated risk, but hunger and duty force her to venture out. The open plains stretch endlessly before her, a patchwork of tall grass and scattered acacia. Every step is measured, every movement deliberate. Her senses are sharpened to a razor's edge, ears twitching at the faintest rustle, eyes scanning for the subtle flicker of movement that betrays potential prey. Her gaze settles on a distant herd of wildebeest. These powerful grazers are a staple for lions, but for a solitary huntress they represent both opportunity and danger. The herd is vigilant, and a single misstep could mean a wasted effort, or worse, injury. She drops low, her tawny coat merging with the swaying grass. Every muscle is coiled, every breath controlled. She inches forward, using the terrain to mask her approach, always downwind to avoid detection. Patience is her greatest weapon. She waits for the perfect moment, when a young or distracted wildebeest strays from the safety of the group. Suddenly her progress halts. The wind shifts, carrying with it a scent that prickles her instincts. She freezes, ears swiveling, nostrils flaring. The savannah is never without peril, and the hunter can so easily become the hunted. Emerging from the haze of morning, a young nomadic male lion appears on the horizon. He is lean, restless, and driven by the same hunger that plagues her. His presence is a threat not only to her hunt, but to her very lineage. This drifter, lacking a pride or territory, roams the grasslands in search of opportunity. His arrival is a stark reminder of the dangers that stalk the savannah, dangers that go beyond the struggle for food. For a mother lioness, such an encounter is fraught with peril. The nomadic male is not here to hunt prey, but to assert dominance, to claim territory, and, if given the chance, to eliminate any cubs that are not his own. He prowls the area, nose to the ground, searching for the telltale scent of vulnerable young. The threat of infanticide looms, a brutal reality of lion society, where only the strongest bloodlines endure. This act, as savage as it seems, is a calculated strategy. By eliminating the cubs, the male forces the female back into estrus, giving him the chance to sire his own offspring and secure his genetic legacy. The air crackles with tension as the two lions lock eyes. The male's intentions are unmistakable, and the lioness's response is immediate. She positions herself between the intruder and her hidden cubs, her body a living shield. The male circles, sniffing the ground where she walked, piecing together the invisible trail that leads to her young. Every second is a test of nerve and resolve. The cubs, oblivious to the full extent of the danger, peer out from their hiding place. The lioness's heart pounds. She knows they are utterly defenseless, their fate resting entirely on her courage and cunning. She plants herself firmly, blocking the path, her muscles taut and ready to spring. She cannot and will not allow the male to advance. The urgency of the hunt is forgotten, replaced by a surge of primal fury. Every instinct screams for her to protect her young at any cost. She pivots sharply, her body a coiled spring, every fibre prepared for the coming clash. Though dwarfed by the male's size and strength, the lioness's resolve is unbreakable. In this moment she is transformed from hunter to warrior, her maternal instinct fueling her defiance. She stands her ground, unwavering, her gaze locked on the intruder with unyielding intensity. With a guttural snarl that echoes across the plains, she explodes into action, launching herself at the male with astonishing speed and ferocity. Her attack is no bluff. It is a full-force assault, claws unsheathed, teeth bared, every movement a testament to her determination. Her snarl is a warning and a promise. Ears flattened, eyes blazing, she makes it clear that any threat to her cubs will be met with lethal force. The young male, caught off guard by her ferocity, recoils. He hesitates, the prospect of an easy takeover dissolving in the face of her wrath. He weighs his options, realizing that this battle could cost him dearly. He was searching for weakness, but found only unbreakable resolve. The lioness's unwavering defense is enough. The male, recognizing her determination, slowly retreats, his ambitions thwarted for now. As the male disappears into the grass, the lioness returns to her cubs, victorious but ever vigilant. The savannah is a place of constant danger, but for now her family is safe, thanks to her courage, cunning, and the indomitable spirit of a lone hunter. The relentless hunger gnawing at the lioness drives her to the edge of desperation. Each day her cubs' cries grow more insistent, their tiny bodies demanding more than the meager scraps she can provide. The pressure mounts with every passing hour. A small kill no longer satisfies the needs of her growing family. She must risk everything for a larger prize. Her amber eyes settle on a formidable herd of Cape buffalo, grazing in the open plain, a living wall of muscle and horn. Unlike a solitary wildebeest, these buffalo are united, their numbers and strength making them a daunting challenge for any predator. Each buffalo is a fortress, massive, aggressive, and fiercely protective of the herd. Their horns glint in the sunlight, a warning to any who dare approach. Alone, the lioness faces them, her body taut with tension. The air crackles with anticipation, every muscle in her frame coiled for action. She hesitates, knowing the odds are stacked against her. One misstep could mean injury or death, but hunger leaves her no choice. Driven by maternal instinct, she searches for weakness. A calf, slightly separated from its mother, becomes her focus. The risk is immense, but the reward could mean survival for her cubs. With painstaking patience, she melts into the grass, every movement calculated and silent. The world narrows to the rhythm of her breath and the shifting shadows ahead. The calf, oblivious to the danger, strays just far enough. The lioness's heart pounds as she inches closer, her gaze locked on her target. If she succeeds, the bounty will sustain her family for days, perhaps even give her cubs the strength to survive the harsh season. In a sudden burst, she launches herself from the grass, a blur of power and determination. The chase is on, but the herd is vigilant. Heads snap up, nostrils flare, and a deep bellow of alarm ripples through the ranks. Instantly, the buffalo close ranks, forming an impenetrable barrier of bodies. The adults surge forward, horns lowered, ready to defend their own. The calves are swept into the center, surrounded by a living wall of protection. The lioness's path is blocked at every turn. Realizing her ambush has failed, she retreats, her body trembling with adrenaline and frustration. The buffalo, however, are not content with simply defending their young. Their agitation grows, hooves pawing the earth, eyes blazing with fury. The failed attack has ignited a collective rage. The herd's energy shifts from defense to vengeance, their unity now a weapon. With a thunderous roar, the buffalo surge forward in a stampede, their massive bodies moving as one, intent on driving the predator from their midst. The lioness is forced to flee, outnumbered and outmatched, the ground shaking beneath her as the herd gives chase. Suddenly, the wind shifts. The buffalo pause, nostrils flaring as they catch a new scent, the faint, vulnerable presence of hidden cubs nearby. Their fury finds a new direction. As one, the herd wheels away from the fleeing lioness, their focus now on the unseen threat to their own safety. The ground trembles as the herd charges toward the grassy patch where the cubs lie hidden, their nursery now exposed to the wrath of the herd. From a distance, the lioness watches in helpless horror, her instincts torn between self-preservation and the desperate urge to protect her young. The air fills with dust and the thunder of hooves. The earth itself seems to mourn as the herd tramples the place where her cubs once lay safe. When the chaos subsides and the herd moves on, the lioness races back, her heart pounding with dread. The silence that follows is heavy and unnatural, broken only by the distant calls of scavengers drawn by the scent of tragedy. She surveys the devastation, her world reduced to a patch of flattened grass and the echoes of loss. One cub lies motionless, its life ended in an instant beneath the relentless stampede. Another clings to life, its breath shallow and ragged, the spark of survival fading with each moment. The lioness tries desperately to revive her injured cub, licking and nudging it with trembling urgency, but the injuries are too severe. In the aftermath, the lioness is left with only half her family. The cost of survival in the wild is steep, and tonight the savannah mourns with her. The loss of a cub weighs heavily on the lioness, but her resolve hardens. Now her entire world narrows to the survival of her two remaining young. Every instinct tells her that the dangers are far from over. The open plains stretch endlessly before them, a landscape both beautiful and treacherous. Here the lioness's solitary strength is tested to its limits. She knows that alone she cannot shield her cubs from every threat lurking in the tall grass. Her only hope lies in reaching the pride, a sanctuary where numbers offer protection and the collective vigilance of many eyes can spot danger before it strikes. But the journey is perilous, and every step must be calculated. The terrain itself is a gauntlet. Rocky outcrops and dense thickets conceal predators and rivals alike. The lioness moves with deliberate caution, her senses heightened, every muscle tensed for action. Her cubs, still unsteady on their feet, struggle to keep pace. Their small size and inexperience make them vulnerable, their presence a beacon for opportunistic hunters. The wind is both ally and enemy. It carries the scent of danger, but also betrays the family's presence. The lioness pauses frequently, nostrils flaring, reading the invisible messages on the breeze. Her vigilance is relentless. Every rustle, every distant call, every shadow is scrutinized. She is a sentinel, her body coiled with tension, her mind racing through possibilities. Suddenly her posture stiffens. Instinct and experience tell her that something is wrong. The air is charged with threat. As they cross a patch of exposed ground, the lioness's worst fears materialize. They are intercepted, not by a lone wanderer, but by a formidable force. Advancing with measured, predatory confidence are two massive male lions. These are not solitary nomads, but a coalition, a brotherhood forged by blood and necessity. Brothers, their movements perfectly synchronized, they operate as a single, lethal unit. Their bond gives them a strategic edge, allowing them to dominate territory and overthrow rival males. These males are on a mission. They seek to claim new territory, to find females, and to ensure that only their bloodline survives. Any cubs not sired by them are seen as threats to be eliminated. Their gaze is fixed on the cubs. To them, these young are not future pride members, but obstacles, living reminders of another male's legacy. The lioness finds herself cornered, her cubs pressed close to her flanks. The males fan out, cutting off any hope of escape. Their bodies form an impenetrable barrier, muscles rippling beneath tawny coats, eyes cold and calculating. They radiate dominance, their presence overwhelming. The lioness assesses her adversaries. She knows she cannot match their combined strength. A direct confrontation would be suicide, but retreat is impossible. Yet her maternal drive is unyielding. She stands her ground, every fibre of her being focused on protecting her young. She refuses to abandon them, crouching low, her body a living shield between the cubs and the advancing males. With a surge of desperate courage, she places herself directly in the path of danger, her eyes blazing with defiance. She unleashes a thunderous roar, a primal warning that echoes across the savannah. But the coalition is undeterred. They have faced such challenges before. The brothers move with chilling coordination, circling, probing for weakness. Their strategy is simple but effective: divide and conquer. The confrontation erupts in a blur of violence. The lioness lashes out with claws and teeth, but the male's combined force is overwhelming. One male engages her head-on, drawing her fury and attention. The other slips past, exploiting the opening with ruthless precision. The second male closes in on the cubs, their tiny bodies trembling with fear. The lioness, distracted and outmatched, cannot reach them in time. She fights with every ounce of strength, a whirlwind of desperation, but the odds are insurmountable. The coalition's tactics are merciless and efficient. In a heart-wrenching instant, one of the males seizes a cub. The struggle is brief, the outcome inevitable. The cub's life is ended with a single, crushing bite. The lioness, battered and exhausted, is left with only one cub. Her spirit is wounded, but her determination endures. The wilderness is unforgiving. Once again it has claimed a piece of her future. With her last cub pressed close, the lioness retreats into the vast, indifferent wild, her battle far from over, her courage undiminished. The sun hangs low over the endless savannah, casting long shadows across the parched earth. The lioness, her body lean and scarred, moves with a quiet urgency, her last remaining cub pressed close to her side. Each step is heavy with the memory of loss, yet her resolve is unwavering. She must deliver her child to safety, no matter the cost. The plains stretch before her, vast and unforgiving. The wind carries the scent of distant rain and the faint, ever-present warning of predators. Here, every shadow could conceal danger. She has already lost 3 cubs, one swept away by a sudden, violent storm, another trampled by a stampeding buffalo, and the last claimed by the jaws of a rival lion. The land itself seems haunted by these tragedies, each loss etched into the very soil beneath her paws. Now the journey home is not a mere return, it is a race against time and fate. The lioness's eyes burn with intensity, her senses sharpened by desperation. She scans the horizon for threats, every muscle taut, every movement calculated. The tall grasses sway around them, concealing both hope and peril. Her cub, small and uncertain, stumbles occasionally but is urged onward by the gentle nudge of his mother's muzzle. The air is thick with tension, the silence broken only by the distant calls of hyenas and the low rumble of thunder. Fatigue gnaws at her limbs. The lioness pauses only briefly, her sides heaving as she catches her breath. Her body bears the fresh marks of recent battles, claw marks from rivals, bruises from buffalo horns, and the invisible wounds of grief. Yet her spirit remains unbroken. The instinct to protect her cub overrides all pain. As dusk deepens, the familiar scents of her pride drift on the breeze, musky, warm, and reassuring. The distant roars and calls of her kin echo across the plains, guiding her like beacons through the gathering darkness. At the edge of the territory, shapes emerge from the golden grass. Her sisters and cousins, alert and watchful, move forward to meet her. Their presence signals safety, but also the need for caution. Reunions in the wild are never without risk. The greeting is a ritual of touch and scent. The lionesses approach slowly, their bodies low, eyes soft but vigilant. They brush against her, their fur mingling, their breath warm and familiar. Head-rubbing follows, a tactile language older than memory. It is a reaffirmation of bonds, a silent promise of unity and protection. The pride's communal scent is renewed, enveloping the returning mother and her cub. This ritual is more than affection, it is survival. By sharing scent, the pride strengthens its identity, making each member part of a greater whole. Grooming follows, gentle and deliberate. Each touch is a reassurance, a way to soothe wounds both seen and unseen. The pride encircles her, their bodies forming a living shield. She is welcomed back, her place among them unquestioned. The cub, wide-eyed and trembling, hesitates at the edge of the group, but the pride's gentle curiosity soon draws him in, their noses twitching as they investigate the newcomer. The other cubs, playful and inquisitive, accept him into their ranks. He is sniffed, nudged, and quickly swept up in the energy of youth. A sub-adult male, his mane just beginning to grow, approaches with a gentle nuzzle. Perhaps an older brother, he offers reassurance, his presence a promise of protection. In moments, the cub is enveloped by the pride, no longer a solitary survivor, but a cherished member of a larger family. The pride's young form a creche, tumbling and playing under the vigilant gaze of the lionesses. Here the cub will learn the skills of survival, shielded by the collective strength of the group. The burden of vigilance is now shared. The mother, once alone in her struggle, can finally trust in the protection of her kin. Exhausted, she sinks to the ground, her eyes closing as her cub nestles close. For the first time in days, she allows herself to rest. The relentless pressure of solitary motherhood fades, replaced by the comfort of community. Surrounded by her sisters, she mourns her lost cubs in silence, but finds solace in the survival of her last. The pride is more than a defense against predators, it is a sanctuary for the heart, a place where grief and hope intertwine. The lioness gazes at her cub, pride and relief mingling in her eyes. Against all odds, she has brought her legacy home. As the sun sets, mother and cub move among the pride, their journey complete. The future is uncertain, but for now they are safe, guarded by the strength and unity of the family and the wild heart of the savannah. In the heart of the African savannah, the pride is more than just a group of lions. It's a living fortress, a complex society built on cooperation, hierarchy, and unwavering loyalty. The safety of the pride is soon put to the test, providing a dramatic illustration of why lions are the undisputed rulers of these grasslands. On the horizon, a familiar figure emerges, a young nomadic male, the same intruder who once threatened the lioness and her vulnerable cubs. Now, he dares to approach the pride's territory once more. Driven by hunger, ambition, or perhaps ignorance of the danger, he edges closer, unaware that he is trespassing into the very heart of a formidable domain. When he last encountered the pride, it was a lone lioness who stood between him and her cubs, her courage forcing him to retreat. But now he faces not just a mother's resolve, but the united front of the pride's dominant males, a coalition whose strength is legendary. This pride is ruled by 4 powerful, black-maned males, each a master of strength and strategy. Their alliance is the backbone of the pride, forged through years of shared battles and mutual respect. The dark, full manes of these lions are more than just a sign of maturity. They are badges of health, dominance, and fighting prowess, marking them as the undisputed lords of this territory. The moment the intruder is detected, the coalition reacts with perfect coordination. There is no confusion, no hesitation. Each male knows his role, and together they move as one. Their primary duty is clear: to defend the pride's territory, its lionesses, and the next generation of cubs from any threat, no matter how bold. With a silent signal, The males rise, their bodies rippling with muscle and intent. Their march is deliberate, each step a warning to the intruder that he is outmatched. Their presence alone is a message, unyielding and absolute. This land is claimed, and its defenders are united. The confrontation is not a chaotic brawl, but a calculated display of power. The coalition's unity is their greatest weapon, and the intruder senses it immediately. Alone, the young male is dwarfed by the coalition, his solitary strength no match for their combined force. As the four males advance, their roars thunder across the savannah. The intruder's bravado vanishes, replaced by fear and submission. Shoulder to shoulder, the coalition forms an impenetrable wall, their unity a testament to the strength of their social bonds. The intruder lowers himself to the ground, signaling surrender. In the world of lions, this gesture is a plea for mercy, a recognition of the pride's overwhelming power. For him, submission is the only path to survival. To challenge the coalition would mean certain defeat, perhaps even death. The dominant males have made their point without violence. Their authority is absolute, enforced by reputation and unity. The intruder, thoroughly cowed, turns and flees. His challenge ended before it could begin. The coalition does not pursue. Their victory is complete, their dominance unchallenged. Instead, the males turn to a vital ritual, patrolling and scent marking the boundaries of their land, reinforcing their claim for all to sense and hear. As they move along the borders, their roars echo in unison, a chorus that carries for miles, warning all rivals of the pride's formidable presence. These deep, resonant calls are more than sound. They are a living fence, a declaration of strength and unity that shapes the very landscape. The males also scent-mark bushes and trees, leaving behind a chemical signature that proclaims their ownership and deters would-be challengers. Within this defended realm, the pride's social structure flourishes. The lionesses, skilled hunters and devoted mothers, work together to feed and protect the cubs. Their cooperation is the foundation of the pride's survival, and their bond with the dominant males ensures that every member, from the youngest cub to the oldest matriarch, thrives in safety. Here, the single surviving cub, watched over by both mother and coalition, is a living testament to the pride's enduring strength and unity. On the boundless African savanna, every sunrise marks the beginning of a relentless cycle, a world where life and death are woven together in a tapestry of survival, competition, and adaptation. For the lioness, this cycle is not just a backdrop, but the very essence of her existence. Each day she awakens to the calls of her pride and the distant sounds of prey and rival predators, knowing that every decision she makes will shape the fate of her cubs and the future of her lineage. The pride's survival hinges on their ability to hunt with precision and unity, but also on their constant vigilance against threats, both from within and beyond their territory. Every hunt is a calculated risk, a test of strength, patience, and cooperation. The lioness must balance her role as a fierce hunter with her instinct to protect her young, always aware that a single misstep could mean starvation or worse. As apex predators, lions command respect and fear. Their roars echo across the plains, a warning to all who might challenge their dominance. The lioness, ever watchful, scans the horizon for signs of intruders, other lions, hyenas, or even the elusive leopard. She knows that the boundaries of her world are constantly tested, and that defending them is a matter of life and death. The savannah is a battleground where rival predators like hyenas test the pride's resolve. These confrontations are fierce and often fatal, driven not by hunger alone, but by the need to eliminate competition for scarce resources. Leopards and cheetahs, too, are drawn into this struggle. Each species carves out its own niche, but the lioness knows that any rival allowed to thrive could one day threaten her cubs or her pride's access to prey. The pride moves as a single, formidable unit, working together to drive away intruders. These actions are not always about immediate survival, but about securing the future, ensuring that the next generation of lions will inherit a territory rich in game and free from dangerous rivals. The lioness's world is filled with moments of both tenderness and brutality. When the pride encounters a mother cheetah and her cubs, the stakes become heartbreakingly clear. The cheetah, graceful and swift, is a devoted mother herself, but she is painfully aware of the danger that lions represent. The cheetah's speed is legendary, her only true defense against the overwhelming power of the lions. She relies on her agility to hunt and to escape, but when the pride sets its sights on her family, she faces an impossible choice. Every muscle tensed, the cheetah mother scans her surroundings, searching for any sign of danger. Her heart pounds as she weighs her options, knowing that her cubs are too young to outrun the lions. The moment the lions charge, chaos erupts. The cheetah's instincts take over. She bolts across the plains, her only hope to draw the predators away from her vulnerable young. She stands her ground for a heartbeat, a barrier between her cubs and certain death, before making the agonizing decision to run, hoping the lions will follow her instead. With a final desperate glance at her cubs, she launches herself into a sprint, her body built for speed, but her heart heavy with fear and hope. Her strategy is a gamble. If she can distract the lions long enough, her cubs might survive. But the savannah is unforgiving, and not all gambles pay off. The lions, relentless and cunning, split up. The mother's heart aches as she realizes her efforts may not be enough. One cub, slower than the rest, is quickly overtaken. The lioness, watching from a distance, understands this moment all too well. The pain of loss, the necessity of sacrifice. The cub is caught, its life ended in an instant. For the lions, this is not an act of cruelty, but a calculated move to secure their own future. By eliminating a potential rival, the pride ensures that their own cubs will have less competition for food and territory. It is a harsh reality, but one that has shaped the evolution of every predator on these plains. The lioness returns to her cubs, her senses alert, her mind burdened by the weight of survival. She knows that every victory comes at a cost, and every loss is a lesson for those who remain. As dusk settles over the savannah, the cheetah mother mourns her loss from afar, while the lioness gathers her cubs close. The cycle continues. One family's tragedy becomes another's triumph. This endless struggle for survival shapes every creature on the plains. The balance between predator and prey, hunter and hunted, is delicate and ever-shifting. The presence of the lions ripples through the ecosystem, influencing the movements and behaviors of countless species. Giraffes and zebras keep their distance, ever wary of the pride's approach. Herbivores remain vigilant, their survival dependent on constant awareness. Smaller predators, like jackals, move cautiously, always alert to the dangers posed by the ruling pride. For the lioness, every day is a lesson in resilience. She nurtures her cubs with fierce devotion, teaching them the skills they will need to survive in this unforgiving world. The cubs watch and learn, absorbing the rhythms of the hunt, the strategies of defense, and the importance of unity within the pride. In time, the young cub will take its place among the hunters, shaped by the lessons of its mother and the unforgiving realities of the savannah. Here, the circle of life and death is not just a cycle, it is the very heartbeat of the wild. In the golden light of the savannah, the lioness lies surrounded by her cubs, their small bodies pressed close to her for warmth and reassurance. This moment of peace is hard-won, the culmination of relentless struggle and unwavering devotion. The story of this lioness and her cubs is not just a tale of survival, but a testament to the intricate social fabric that defines the lion's world. Unlike the solitary existence of most feline species, lions are bound together in complex family groups known as prides. These prides are not mere gatherings, but living, breathing communities, woven together by threads of kinship, loyalty, and shared purpose. The pride is the foundation of the lion's success. It is a fortress against the dangers of the wild, a hunting party that moves with silent coordination, and a nursery where the next generation is nurtured and protected. Within its boundaries, every member has a role. The pride is a living organism, each lioness and cub a vital cell, each interaction reinforcing the bonds that hold them together. Together, they defend vast territories, facing down formidable prey like buffalo and giraffe. The lionesses move as one, their cooperation honed by years of shared experience. For a lone female, such feats would be nearly impossible. But within the pride, her strength is multiplied by the unity of her sisters. The pride's cohesion is maintained through constant social interaction. Grooming sessions are more than hygiene. They are rituals of trust, moments where affection is exchanged and alliances are reaffirmed. Head-rubbing and communal grooming are the language of loyalty. Each gesture, each gentle nuzzle is a promise. I am here, I am with you, we are one. The lionesses of a pride are almost always related. Sisters, mothers, daughters. Their bonds are forged in blood and deepened by shared trials. Often they give birth within days of each other, creating a communal nursery where cubs are raised side by side. In this sisterhood, resources are pooled. Lionesses nurse each other's young, defend them fiercely, and teach them the ways of the wild. The survival of each cub is a collective responsibility, and every lioness is both mother and guardian. For a cub, the pride is a world of many mothers. This communal care is a shield against the dangers that lurk beyond the pride's boundaries, dramatically increasing the odds of surviving those perilous early years. The coalition of males, though often on the periphery, is no less essential. Their presence is a silent promise of protection. These males dedicate their lives to vigilance, patrolling the pride's borders, roaring into the night to warn rivals, and standing guard against any threat. When danger approaches, they do not hesitate. They fight with ferocity, risking injury and death to repel intruders who would threaten the pride's future. Their protection allows the lionesses to focus on what they do best, hunting and nurturing the young. This division of labor is the secret to the pride's enduring strength. Each hunt is a display of coordination and trust. The lionesses move with silent communication, their strategies refined by years of cooperation. When the kill is made, the pride gathers, sharing the bounty as one. The females are the pride's hunters, their teamwork a marvel of nature. The males, ever watchful, ensure that the legacy of the pride is protected from all who would threaten it. For the cub, the pride is a sanctuary. Here it learns the skills of survival through play and imitation, watched over by a circle of guardians. The memory of isolation on the open plain fades, replaced by the security of family. The ever-present threat of predators and starvation is held at bay by the pride's collective vigilance. Here, the cub can play, learn, and grow, absorbing the lessons of the pride, lessons of cooperation, hierarchy, and resilience. For the lioness, every scar and every loss has led to this moment. Her journey, marked by hardship and sacrifice, has secured her cub's place within the pride's embrace. Now she can rest, her duty fulfilled. She has given her cub the greatest gift, a future shaped by the strength and unity of the pride. The pride will now nurture her son, teaching him the ancient ways of the lion. Under their watchful eyes, he will grow strong and wise until the day comes when he must forge his own path, carrying forward the legacy of loyalty, courage, and the unbreakable bonds that define the pride. As the sun sinks below the horizon, the golden savanna is swallowed by darkness. Shadows lengthen and merge, turning the world into a realm of uncertainty where every sound and scent carries a warning. For the lioness and her cubs, nightfall is not a time for rest, but a test of vigilance, a time when danger moves silently, cloaked by the cover of night. The air cools, carrying with it the acrid scent of distant fires and the musky odor of unseen beasts. The cubs huddle closer, their ears twitching at the slightest rustle in the grass. In the darkness, the familiar landscape transforms. The wind shifts, bringing with it the pungent trail of hyenas, opportunistic scavengers drawn by the promise of an unguarded meal. Their whooping calls echo in the distance, a chilling reminder that the pride's safety is never guaranteed. Beyond the reach of moonlight, the eyes of leopards gleam, a silent threat lurking in the branches above, waiting for a moment of weakness. The lioness remains alert, her senses finely tuned to every nuance in the night air. She hears the crack of a twig, the soft shuffle of paws, the distant chorus of jackals on the hunt. Each sound is a puzzle to be solved, each scent a story of what has passed and what may come. A sudden gust of wind carries the low growl of a rival lion, a nomadic male drawn by the scent of the pride. The lioness rises, muscles tensed, ready to defend her cubs against any intruder. The coalition of males patrols the boundary, their roars reverberating across the plains, warning all who would dare approach. Beneath the cover of darkness, snakes slither through the undergrowth, and crocodiles lurk in the muddy waters nearby. Even the smallest threats, a scorpion's sting or a swarm of biting insects, can spell danger for the vulnerable cubs. The lioness circles her young, her presence a living shield against the night's invisible perils. As hours drag on, the savannah grows quieter, but the sense of unease never fades. Every breath is measured, every movement deliberate. The lioness remains ever watchful, her eyes reflecting the faintest glimmer of starlight. For her and her cubs, survival depends not on strength alone, but on constant awareness, a delicate balance between rest and readiness. When dawn finally breaks, the dangers of the night recede, replaced by the golden promise of a new day. But the memory of unseen threats lingers, a silent lesson in the ceaseless struggle for life on the savannah. As the first light of dawn shimmers across the savannah, the lioness leads her cubs toward the waterhole, a vital oasis in a land shaped by thirst. The air is thick with anticipation. Every creature knows that the waterhole is both a sanctuary and a battleground. Tall grasses part as the lioness approaches, her powerful body low and cautious. The cubs follow closely, their small paws leaving delicate prints in the damp earth. Around the water's edge, a mosaic of life unfolds. Zebras and wildebeest jostle for space, wary eyes scanning the reeds for threats. Antelope pause mid-drink, nostrils flaring at the scent of predators. Yet the lioness is not the only danger here. The water itself conceals ancient threats. Beneath the murky surface, crocodile eyes break the calm, barely visible but ever watchful. Their patience is legendary, their speed deadly. The lioness senses the peril. She scans the shoreline for the telltale ripple of movement, never allowing her cubs to stray too close to the water's edge. Competition is fierce. Elephants thunder in, their sheer size commanding respect. The lioness waits, muscles coiled, as the giants drink and move on, their presence temporarily deterring other predators. But with every passing moment, new arrivals gather, warthogs, baboons, and the ever-present hyenas, their laughter echoing with ill intent. The lioness positions herself between her cubs and the water, a living barrier against unseen dangers. She drinks quickly, never lowering her guard. Her ears flick back and forth, catching the distant snarl of a leopard or the sudden splash that signals a crocodile's lunge. The cubs mimic her caution, lapping at the shallow pools left by elephant footprints. Suddenly, a zebra startles, sending a ripple of alarm through the crowd. In the chaos, the lioness gathers her cubs, herding them away from the commotion. She knows the waterhole's peace is fragile. One misstep, one moment of distraction could spell disaster. Only when the immediate danger passes does she allow her family a final drink. Then, with a final wary glance at the water's edge, the lioness leads her cubs back into the tall grass, leaving behind the waterhole and its hidden perils. For today their thirst is quenched, but the struggle for survival continues, shaped by the ever-present risks that define life on the savannah. As the sun climbs higher, painting the savannah with golden light, the lioness shifts from protector to teacher. The open grasslands become her classroom, and every step is a lesson in survival. With patient precision, she demonstrates the art of stalking, each movement a model of grace and control. Her body lowers close to the earth, muscles rippling beneath tawny fur, as she inches forward through the swaying grass. The cubs watch intently, their eyes wide with curiosity and anticipation. When she pauses, they pause. When she freezes, they mimic her stillness, learning to blend into the landscape, to become invisible in plain sight. The lioness tests them, moving ahead and then circling back, observing how well they follow her cues. She teaches them the importance of silence, of patience, of reading the wind, and sensing the approach of both prey and danger. Suddenly, a distant rustle signals the presence of a small antelope. The lioness signals the cubs to crouch, their bodies tense, tails flicking with excitement. She shows them how to move as one, with purpose yet without haste. When the antelope bolts, the lesson continues, how to give chase, but also when to abandon the pursuit and conserve precious energy. Later, she leads them to a patch of dense scrub, where shadows offer shelter from the midday heat and from prying eyes. Here, the cubs learn the value of hiding, of choosing cover wisely, and of remaining alert even in apparent safety. The lioness tests their awareness, rustling the grass or snapping a twig to see if they recognize the faintest sign of a lurking threat. Every moment is a building block in the foundation of their survival. Through repetition and gentle correction, the lioness imparts the skills her cubs will need to thrive in a world where danger is never far away. With each lesson, they grow bolder, more capable, and more attuned to the rhythms of the wild. The savannah is both their home and their proving ground, and under their mother's watchful gaze, the next generation of hunters prepares for the challenges ahead. The rains have failed the savannah. Where once grass rippled in the breeze, the earth now lies cracked and parched, the air shimmering with relentless heat. Waterholes shrink to muddy puddles, and the trees stand bare, their leaves long since surrendered to the sun. For the lioness, every day is a test of endurance and ingenuity. She rises before dawn, her movements deliberate and measured, conserving precious energy. With each step, dust billows around her paws, a constant reminder of the drought's grip. Her golden coat, dulled by the dust, blends into the faded landscape as she surveys the horizon for any sign of relief. The pride gathers in the meager shade of a thorn tree, their bodies leaner, eyes heavy with fatigue. Hunger gnaws at their bellies, but the lioness cannot afford despair. She studies the terrain, searching for the faintest track or scent, any clue that could lead to water or prey. Herds have migrated far in search of sustenance, leaving only the hardiest or most desperate animals behind. Resourcefulness becomes her greatest ally. She leads the pride to the last remaining waterhole, its banks crowded by wary antelope and desperate birds. The lioness waits patiently, resisting the urge to rush. She knows a careless move could drive away both water and prey. When the moment comes, she signals the pride, every movement silent, every muscle tense with anticipation. The hunt is more perilous now. The weakened prey are alert, their senses sharpened by thirst and fear. The lioness must adapt her tactics, using the dwindling cover to her advantage, timing her approach to coincide with the shifting wind. Even a failed hunt is a lesson, and the pride learns to endure, to wait, to try again. The cubs, once playful, now huddle close to their mother, seeking comfort from her steady presence. She licks their faces, reassuring them with gentle nuzzles, even as her own strength wanes. At night, the pride rests on the warm ground, their dreams haunted by the promise of rain. Through it all, the lioness endures. Her determination becomes the pride's lifeline, a testament to the resilience demanded by the wild. The drought is not merely a hardship, but a crucible, a trial that forges the pride's unity and the lioness's unwavering resolve. As the first distant thunderheads gather on the horizon, hope flickers in the lioness's eyes. She stands, ready to lead her family forward, her spirit unbroken by the savannah's most unforgiving test. Dawn breaks over the savannah, but relief does not follow. Instead, a new shadow slips across the parched earth, a rival predator, drawn by the same desperation that grips the pride. The air tingles with uncertainty as a sleek hyena, leader of a formidable clan, prowls the outskirts of the lionesses' territory. Its laughter echoes on the wind, a taunting call that unsettles the silence of Drought. The lioness senses the change before her eyes confirm it. Fresh tracks scar the dust, and the distant yelps of the hyena clan send a ripple of unease through the pride. The cubs press closer to their mother, instinctively wary. The lioness stands tall, her gaze fixed and unblinking, every muscle alert beneath her dust-matted coat. Tension thickens as the rival clan edges nearer to the shrinking waterhole. The hyenas are bold, their hunger matching that of the lions. They circle warily, testing boundaries, sizing up the weakened pride. The lioness does not flinch. She positions herself between her family and the threat, her tail flicking, a silent signal to the pride to hold their ground. The standoff stretches, time measured in heartbeats and shallow breaths. The lioness relies on strategy, not strength. She guides the pride into a tight formation, cubs shielded by older lionesses, every eye trained on the enemy. A low growl rumbles from her throat, a warning carried on the dry wind. The hyenas hesitate, feeling the weight of her resolve. As dusk settles, the rival clan withdraws, for now. The lioness remains vigilant, patrolling the boundaries long after the others have lain down to rest. She knows the drought has changed everything. Resources are scarce, and rivals are desperate, but her determination is unwavering. She will defend her pride, no matter the odds. The savannah night is restless, but the lioness stands sentinel, her presence a silent promise. As long as she endures, so too will her family.